Hey, what's up, you guys? All right, I wanted to do a quick review of Benjamin Cowen's premium um, membership, I guess. He charges about, I think lately the price is around $100 per month, and for a service essentially. I, gosh, I'd have to poke around here to see what his price is. Let me check. Um, let's see here. Okay, so he's charging $130 per month. So I've been a subscriber for a few months now, and I just wanted to report my experience. Now, I actually did not subscribe through his website. I subscribed through, let me pull it up here. Okay, so I subscribed through Patreon just because I found it more convenient. I'm already a member on Patreon, and so at the time that I subscribed, the price was $88, $89. So I was locked in there for a few months, and basically it's the same service as going in through his main website. So that's how I got started. Okay, so next I just want to talk about some of my impressions of the service. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to mention was when you become a subscriber, you get access to a Telegram channel. And sorry, I don't really have anything to put on the screen for now, so I'll just leave his website up here. But you get access to a Telegram channel, and I'm looking on my phone right now. Basically, it's showing his he's having like 10,000 subscribers. So if you were to assume that he's getting around, like right now he's charging $129 for his premium list. So 10,000 subscribers, let's say he's getting $100 each. That's $1 million per month if you do the math. Now, let's assume that a lot of these people got in before when the price was cheaper. So if all of them got in when the price is only $50, which I don't know if it's ever been that cheap. I have no idea. Then he's getting in $500,000 a month. And even if everybody's only paying $10 a month, he's getting $100,000 a month. Now, this isn't to criticize him or rag on him or to say, oh, he's getting rich off this. I'm happy for him. That's great. He's built up a following, and he's monetized it, and good for him. Not taken away from that. But the reason I'm mentioning this is to say that if he's bringing in conservatively $100,000 a month, and at the maybe I don't know if everybody is paying $100, then $1 million a month. He's probably getting somewhere in between that. He's got a huge monthly income, right? Steady income, and so he's probably already amassed a lot of wealth as well. So for somebody like that, they're going to approach investing in crypto in a very different way from somebody who's maybe just getting started. His approach is probably going to be more to like protect wealth. I mean, grow it when you can, but then to protect wealth. So a lot of his philosophy on, I mean, both in his public channel as well as the private channel, is essentially, he says invest in the blue chips, right? So I think he does like 70% of his DCAs going into like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and a little bit in altcoins. But when he says altcoins, he means like the top 10 altcoins. He means like, or stuff maybe in the top 20, stuff like, Chainlink, Matic, I know is a favorite of his. Cardano, he runs a staking pool for Cardano. He runs a staking pool for Avalanche. So some of the more like, established ones, right? And again, this is what somebody who has already established wealth is going to do. Um, the time to now, okay, now to be fair, somebody might say, well, back in, look at the gains he achieved in 2020 and 2021. Sure. Well, like they say, hamsters and people who just picked random coins did great in 2020 and 2021, right? Now, in the last few months, I mean, Bitcoin's struggling, and now you're seeing these, other coins are doing well. For example, Luna and Cosmos, etc. So this is the first thing that I wanted to mention was, like I said, he's coming at investing from the point of view of somebody who already has a lot of income and wants to protect his wealth. So in summary, I want to say this. If that's you, if you're somebody who gets like a huge paycheck every week or every month or whatever, or you already have a lot of money and you kind of want to park some of it in Bitcoin, yeah, his and like $100 isn't very much. $100 a month isn't much for you. then and you're not familiar with the space, sure, it might pay to subscribe for a month or two and maybe learn something from him. See if you get anything out of it. Um, but if you're not in that position, like, okay, so something else I want to say, he's obviously going heavy into, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, and everybody's price prediction, like right now, Bitcoin's at like 50,000 ish. Like actually, it's like 46, 47 right now, but let's just say it's in the 50,000 range. Everybody right now is saying, okay, maybe this year. Actually, he's saying maybe later this year we'll get to 100,000. Maybe at the end of the year. In other words, and that's for Bitcoin. Ethereum, people are calling for like 8,000, between 8 and 10,000. So let's just say you're looking at more, more or less a 2x gain. Okay. And again, for somebody who has already amassed a lot of wealth, that may be very good. That they're protecting their wealth. They're maybe they'll gain a little bit. Fine. I mean, gain a little bit. That's a little bit for crypto. It's not a lot for. It's not. It's not a lot for crypto. It's a lot for traditional markets, I would say. So now, but if you're somebody who's approaching crypto because you've heard of these, like, I mean, okay, fine. When you hear about the 1,000x, 2,000x gains, that that's crazy. You've got to get on something when it's relatively unknown, and you really got to take a risk. But stuff, gains that are like maybe bigger than 2x, like 3, 4, 5, 6x, whatever. That's still within reach if you start to look at coins outside of like the top 10 or 20. Maybe just consider the top 100 and look for value coins essentially. Anyways, my point is this: if you take Ben's approach, for this year at least, according to his own numbers, you're looking at about, a 2x in return on investment if you mostly stick to, like he says, the blue chips, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then maybe a little bit of alts. You're probably going to get more of a return, obviously, on the alts that he recommends. But at the same time, he's saying not to go heavy into those. He consistently says that. This is on his public channel, on his private channel. So this is my first point. Let's see here. Okay, so I think that's mostly all I want to say about, like I say, his investing philosophy and how he's more into, like I say, blue chips instead of like altcoins. There are other channels that you can get into if you're looking for more short-term trades or looking to invest in the smaller coins. He's not going to talk about that. Very rarely will he mention that. Okay, so what do I want to talk about next? Let's got some notes on the screen here for what I want to cover. Let's talk about. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. So part of his I think the biggest value that I initially thought I would get out of his premium channel was something called the risk metric, right? And it's basically a scale from 0 to 1 that he applies to every cryptocurrency that he tracks, anyways. And I think there's like maybe, gosh, I don't know. I would it's more than 10. Yeah, there's a bunch that he tracks. And basically, like what he says, like for Bitcoin, he says if the risk metric that he calculates is less than zero point 0.5, he DCAs in every single week. He buys a little bit every single week. If it's above zero point 0.5, he doesn't DCA into Bitcoin. And I think he has different. He says depending on how risk tolerant you are, you might want to start taking profits after above zero point 0.6 or zero point 0.7 or whatever you're comfortable with. So so that's that. And as somebody who's new to the space, I found that fairly fascinating. But so what I didn't like about it was I like within a couple of days of looking at his risk metric and hearing him talk about it, I felt like, hey, wait a second. What if Ben decides to retire? Or he decides to get out of this analysis business, or moves to another country, or changes careers or whatever. And if a big part of your investment approach was dependent upon his magic numbers, the risk metric, then you're kind of out of luck. I mean, you're going to be like, oh, what do I do now? I was basing a lot of my decisions on his risk metric, right? So within a couple of days, that made me of subscribing. It made me feel very uneasy. I felt like, and initially I thought this can't possibly be true, that he's just publishing these numbers and just not telling us how they're calculated. Like, surely. And so I started to do research. I started to Google, okay, Bitcoin risk metric. Is this something that the whole industry uses? Is this something that everybody uses? Maybe he's just repeating it from somewhere else. And what I found is that no, this is a number that he calculates on his own using various models. I guess logarithmic regression. He talks about that. Those are the people who do this as well. If you've ever seen the Bitcoin rainbow, hang on a second. So charts like this, like the Bitcoin rainbow chart, they're I guess it uses a logarithmic regression analysis to calculate when the price is heated and when it's not. And my understanding is that Ben uses a combination of this with a few other possibly more sophisticated techniques to generate his own risk metric. So here, and his risk metric is basically saying like when Bitcoin Rainbow is telling you, you're in the red. His metric is basically going to say you're at like a zero point 0.9 or a 1.0, and when you're down here in the cooler color, like blue, he's basically saying, okay, you know, the risk metric might be like 1 or 2. So that's what the risk metric is. Like I said, my first impression was I didn't like if you look at how this chart is made. You can actually research this like logarithmic regression. There's ways to do this. You can use Python. You can use pandas based on you feed in the historical Bitcoin data, and you can actually generate this chart. Anybody can do this, but he does not provide how he actually generates his numbers. And I didn't like that. I really felt like, hey, if you're going to pay $100 a month, then he should teach you something that you can quit his channel or whatever, quit his premium list, and you're going to keep something out of that. And to me, that was his way of saying, no, you need to remain subscribed every single month. You know, I mean, and that's his proprietary information. So I'm personally not a fan of that. Um, let's see. So just to compare, there's actually other people out there who are doing like more open source approaches to calculating a Bitcoin risk metric. So this is Bitcoin Raven. He has a few videos where he goes into the code behind, how he calculates a risk metric. And I think they do sometimes try to model their performance and or compare their performance to like what Ben's risk metric says. So yeah, I just wanted to point out there are other people who are calculating the risk metric. And so yeah, if you are interested in actually generating your own risk metric, if you look in one of Bitcoin Raven's videos, he has a Telegram channel and links to the source code where he generates that, or for how to generate that. So if you're interested in that, there are other ways to approach this. Just wanted to say, like I said, when I saw that basically Ben's risk metric was a black box, he doesn't give you any insight into how it's done. Certainly doesn't give you the code into how it's done. That was a real turnoff for me, and I said, okay, I guess number one, I don't want to be dependent on his risk metric for my own purposes, and I'll try to see what else I can get from the channel. So that's what I'll turn to next. What other value was there from the channel? And actually, in a little bit, I'll talk about whether or not the risk metric was even, you know, doing its job. Okay, so the next thing you get as part of his premium list is access to a Telegram list or Telegram channel. He has one that only he can post to. That's where he posts his thoughts on the markets every day, little tidbits, his opinion on things. And then there's another channel where people can just have a free for all discussion. Okay, so there's two different things there. His chat, and I'm sorry, I can't post screenshots of any of this because it is his proprietary information. I want to respect that, and I don't want this video to be like just showing all of his private stuff. I mean, I'm sure a screenshot of the channel wouldn't hurt, but whatever. I just want to be respectful of it. This is how he makes his living. So, okay, the 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 Telegram list, that's the free for all chat room. It's pretty worthless. It's just one big room, and it's memes, it's emojis, it's jokes, it's pictures. A lot of the time, very low signal to noise. There's a few people in there that are very smart, I think, and that you'll see they'll post like a nugget occasionally, but overall you've got to read quite a bit to get anything of value. Honestly, a lot of the people in there seems like people who have more money than sense, and so they just subscribe to this channel, and I don't know. So it seems like a lot of rich people who aren't real sophisticated sometimes, and so that's just my impression. It was not an enlightening experience hanging out in the overall public channel. Now, then you have his his list. sorry, the one that only he, the channel that only he can post to. And what I can say about that one is the majority of the things he posts in there are not hugely insightful. So again, I can't post like, I don't want to post exact. So yeah, I don't want to post exact screenshots, but I was looking at some yesterday where he'll basically say like, you know, stock market already looking good this week. Or he posted another one that says dot is at least still slowly climbing this wall of worry. So, I look, let me see. He has another one where he says, Tesla closed the day just below 1200. So basically, I mean, what else? He says, DXY is having a bit of a rally today. I'm just reading some examples. BTC risk is now 0.32. There's an example. So, okay, if you go to, when you're a premium subscriber, you get access to the risk metric dashboard where he shows the risk metric for all of these cryptos that he tracks. Hang on a second, I'm getting a bunch of alerts. Okay, what was I? Sorry, I was getting a bunch of messages. Yeah, so I guess I was just reading you some of the example things that he would post to his Telegram where only he can write to. And yeah, the last one I was mentioning was, let's see here. Let me pull it up again. Yeah, so he basically will he'll provide a message like, BTC risk is now 0.392. And like I said, if you go to his, as a premium member, you can look at his risk metric dashboard. So you have access to those numbers anytime you want. But he'll post things like that, which is like he'll tell you what the risk metric is. And unless it's like a huge change, I don't think that's hugely informational. I really got the impression over time that he feels like, well, like out of obligation, he has to post there just to make people feel like they're getting some value out of it. But I guess let me just say this. If you think you're going to get this like hugely insightful stuff like every time he posts there, it's not. It's really mundane information, and it just feels like you have him there as like a buddy just to chit chat with. Although you don't really talk back to him. He just posts his messages. That's another thing I wanted to mention was like engagement. Like, some of you might be thinking, oh, when we're part of the list, we get to talk to Ben. And honestly, if you look on his the public telegram, not the public telegram, but the telegram where his members can chat, he responds extremely rarely. It's not this constant banter back and forth. And to be fair, he can't because it's just, like I say, the signal to noise ratio is really low. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of volume of people talking, and so I understand he can't reply to all of them, but if, like I said, if you were expecting this small intimate group where you talk with him like one on one, it just doesn't happen. People ask him questions all the time and they go unanswered. I mean, I see that repeatedly. They ask him, hey, can you explain this further, can you explain that further? I've done that before, I don't get any answers back. So again, it's not to rag on him. I understand he's busy, he's focusing on other things, but just keep in mind, for $100 you're not going to get that. For $100 a month, that's not what you're getting. So I think that mostly covers the Telegram stuff. With that. Now, somebody mentioned to me that he has a Discord, but I've never seen that advertised in any of the information, so I don't know. I haven't personally seen it. And actually, I will mention this. My advice to Ben and his team there is, I think he should actually have a Discord, because that one Telegram group, it's just overrun with people. It's just a mess. It's chaotic. I think if he had a Discord or some other thing like, Zulip or Slack, he could have different channels, right? And then based on topics. So if you want to talk about Link, okay, you go to this channel. If you want to talk about, Ethereum, go to this channel. If you want to talk about taxes, go here, etc. I think that would be much more productive. And then maybe he could have like I don't know, a room where you could ask him questions or something like that. So that's my thoughts on the Telegram part of the premium subscriber thing, and of the premium membership, and like I say, what he could do to improve it. Okay, so then I want to talk a little bit about his style of analysis and what he tends to focus on. So one of the things that, look, everybody has a different style. Some people of investing and trading and whatever, some people are really into technical analysis and quantitative analysis, and that's all they care about. They don't care about fundamentals. They don't care about anything else. They look at the charts. That tends to be more short-term traders, like people who are really good at trading. They can just go based off of the chart, and that's fine. That's good for them. That's not Ben. However, interestingly, typically people who aren't traders will get more into fundamentals, and he very rarely talks about fundamentals. Compare that with, like, let's say, invest answers. Oh, hang on, I'll show it to you.
Hello, everybody.
All right, sorry about that. I think a video started playing when I unpaused. But anyways, yeah. So this guy, Invest Answers on YouTube. He's just a different, whatever YouTube uh, guy who covers crypto. And this guy's heavy into fundamentals. In fact, I mean, before he invests in anything, he there's all these metrics by which he measures a coin, and he happens to like Solana a lot. And hey, that just goes to show I'm not a fan of Solana, and everybody has their opinions at the end of the day. But anyways, I just wanted to compare it to say that, yeah, Ben does not talk a lot about fundamentals. And one of the things I find really interesting is the relationship between like Bitcoin and the performance of Bitcoin and the performance of the stock market. And he will often say like, oh, there's not, he doesn't even really bother looking into it. Does or oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to put words into his mouth. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. You know, okay, so people will say this. I know he definitely says a lot. People will say, okay, the stock market is likely to to take a dip this year, so be careful, be conservative. And he repeatedly will say, look, the bears, they're always calling for the stock market to correct. You never know what's going to happen. It just keeps going up, so they're mostly wrong. So to me, it just sounds like he's really pushing for people to stay in the market as opposed to be cautious. I strongly disagree with that. I mean, let's say I don't know what your budget is for investing. Some people have $1 million, some people have whatever, $1,000. Let's just say let's go with $100,000. Let's suppose you have $100,000 to invest. I think right now we're in January 2022. The consensus amongst most of the analysts is that the macro indicators are extremely shaky. We don't know how regulation is going to affect crypto. We don't know how the Biden administration's decisions around, the Federal Reserve, a tapering, that the Federal Reserve is doing, how it's going to affect, the markets and crypto. Everybody's expecting it to cause a dip. Many of the analysts are saying there's going to be a huge correction in 2022, and Ben kind of just ignores all that, and he encourages people to ignore it. He says, no, whatever, just keep, you're not FOMOing in, but just keep DCAing in. Again, like I said, he has a huge inflow of monthly income, and then this is he just DCAs in his toy money, right? So for some people who are like more heavy into investing, I think you definitely need to pay attention to like the risks in the stock market and how that can affect Bitcoin, etc. So like I said, he's not heavy into fundamentals. I like fundamentals, so I prefer like Invest Answers for advice around that. Um, One of the things he's not going to give you short-term predictions, and I respect him for that. He's not going to tell you, oh, this is the price next week, this is the price next month. But he definitely is into long-term predictions. So he's repeatedly said he thinks that Bitcoin's going to achieve all-time highs this year, 2022, but it will be a few months and possibly even like later this year. And that's why I say, you're looking at maybe a 2x on Bitcoin over the course of a year. Like that's his thesis essentially. If you go with him, that's what you can expect. So yeah, it's like I say, I'm not a fan of his style of analysis. Like I say, where he doesn't go deep on fundamentals. He's mostly just looking at the charts, but like on a longer scale. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Okay, the other thing I wanted to say is that he's very repetitive. When I first joined the premium list and started listening to like I felt like, okay, here I am, I'm paying $100 a month. I better listen to everything he's putting out. It was all new to me, and that was great. And I learned a lot, and I took a lot of notes. And then, like within a month, I felt like, okay, he's saying the same things over and over again. And I think the reason he does that is so he has his public YouTube channel and his private one. In his public YouTube channel, he's pretty much I feel like he repeats the same thing over and over again, and that's because when you're a YouTuber who's making a living off of YouTube, you're the if you regularly put out videos like once a day, YouTube likes that, and so they'll promote you more. I've seen other YouTubers where they'll take a break for a while, and oh my gosh, their numbers totally plummet. And so I believe that career YouTubers, they just put out videos on a regular basis. If they don't have anything substantial to say, they'll just create filler. And in my opinion, Ben's channel suffers from a lot of filler. It's just he'll talk about the same things over and over again. He'll just find some new metric to talk about, and it's not all hugely valuable in my opinion. Now, the same thing applies to his private channel. Like it seems like he runs out of things to say, so that's why I say he has these mindless little Telegram messages. Um, so anyway, like I said, in my opinion, he's extremely repetitive. He says the same things over and over. Says the same things over and over. He's not, contrast that to somebody who's doing deep technical analysis on a daily basis of like short term. There's a lot of insight you can get from that, which isn't his style. He's not going to do like day to day trades. He does do analysis daily, but again, it tends to be more macro. He gets into the details. He'll say, but he'll say like he's really into the bull market support band, so he'll always reference that. He's like, are we above it? Are we below it? When does he think we'll go above it? Et cetera, et cetera. So, but again, like I say, it's the same information over and over, in my opinion. For me, I would say I think after about a month or two of being on the list, I kind of got most of his points. He has these things he says like, hey, when the DXY, the Dixie, when the Dixie goes down, that tends to be good for Bitcoin, right? There's an inverse relationship there. But honestly, when I started tracking that, I noticed there's no correlation there. Sometimes the Dixie can go up and Bitcoin goes up. It's definitely not, that's not something that's deterministic. So there's some things he said that I kind of, I eventually found to not exactly be true. So the other thing I wanted to say about his premium list is one of the things you get is videos that he makes for his members. That's members only videos. He actually posts them to YouTube, but they're unlisted, so you can watch them on there. I mean, but you got to be a member to get the notice about them. So honestly, in my opinion, he's usually way more upbeat sounding in his public channel videos. On his private ones, to me, I just got the impression that he's phoning it in, and and it sounds like he was doing it out of obligation. Like, oh, I have to make this video for you all. It's even in his tone of voice. He's like, I hope you enjoy the content, and to me, it feels like probably from his perspective, he gets more bang for the buck making a public video because that's how he's going to make sales into the premium channel. But I don't know. I don't know why he doesn't put as much effort there. It's possible that people, there's a lot of churn. People may be leaving his premium list, so he has to keep people incoming, and then he knows people are going to leave anyway. So maybe that's why he doesn't put a lot of value and time into his premium videos. I never really got a lot out of them. In fact, weeks would go by where I wouldn't even watch them. They just weren't all that useful to me. This is my opinion. It's like, okay, you might be wondering, are they like way more like insightful than his public ones? And no, they're not. I honestly enjoy his public ones more than his private ones. And that was surprising to me. I thought, oh my gosh, like his premium videos are going to be like Ben, but like on steroids, and it's going to be access to all this new information and stuff like that. And I never got that impression. That's just, hey, if I did, I'm not a member. I canceled my membership. If I did, I would have stayed. I'd be happy to pay $100 a month for something like that was amazing. But no, I didn't get much out of it. So those are my thoughts on his premium videos. They're just, they're not real different from the public ones that he posts, in my opinion. So there's that. All right. So one of the last things I wanted to mention was the risk metric and the performance of it. And so like I said, I didn't want to depend on it, but even if you do decide to depend on it, like what value is it? So here we're looking at Bitcoin over the last year, right? So here's 2021. Up to the present, right? A little bit before 2021. So we see the first run up of the year, all time high in April, and then the dip over the summer, and then another all time high in November. Okay, so his risk metric back on, let's see here. Let me check my notes here. November. Excuse me. Give me 1 second. Um, what was the risk metric back then? Give me 1 second. Okay, so on April 14th, so earlier in the year during this high, the all-time high on April 14th, it happened on April 14th, and the price was 63,000. Okay, Ben's risk metric was 0.792. Um, and that's, to me, that's an admirable, to me, like value. Like the in my opinion, his risk metric was working there, because like he says, if it's less than zero point 0.5, you can DCA in. If it's above zero point 0.5, he personally stops DCAing, and if it's above zero point 0.6, he he says start, whenever you're comfortable, start taking profits, maybe 0. 0.6, 0. 0.7, 0. 0.8, etc., up to 9 or whatever. So at the all-time high, his risk metric was saying 0.792. Great. I mean, to me, that's good. It was high. It says, hey, things are heated. Maybe you should be taking profits. And that worked out well for people who were, you know, took his advice on that. Okay, fine. But then we had the market crashed and we had another all-time high over here. So how did the risk metric perform at that point? So let me see here. The on November 11th, the price of Bitcoin was 69,000, new all-time high. Okay, what was his risk metric? Was it telling you, hey, things are heated, you might want to get out? No, his risk metric was 0.551. So barely above where he says, okay, I stopped DCAing. It wasn't even zero point 0.6, it wasn't even zero point 0.7. So in my opinion, that was a failure of his risk metric. Now, I posted this on Twitter and he blocked me. I have a little log of what happened here. And this is so before I get into this, this is the last one of the last things I wanted to review about the channel is that engagement with him, in my opinion, is very poor. If you respectfully question what he has to say, he'll block you or get angry, and that's basically what happened to me. So just wanted to show here. I posted this tweet, right? I mean, I guess I'll read it to you. So Ben, Bitcoin all-time high of 69,000. I covered this with you in the video right now, but happened on November 11th. The risk metric was only zero point 0.5 at the time. We're down 33% since. Actually, I have a comment about that. I want to show you something. It's actually, we're much further down than that. What I meant was, if you measure from here to where we're at now, from the November all-time high to where we're at now, we're about, see right there, it's 32%. I think when I made the tweet, it was 33%. So that's the drop, right? However, that's if I'm being gracious and saying the drop till now. Instead, if we say measure from okay all-time high to where it dropped, over the course of just a few days. Well, not a few days, but let's see. Okay, November 11th was the all-time high, and then we had the big drop on December 4th. So less than a month later, less than 30 days later, look at that drop. That's 38%. Looking at almost 40% drop in less than a month, right? So that was my point. Is in his tweet to him, I said, "Hey, we're down 33%," and like I said, actually, we're really down almost 40% since. Do you consider this a failure of the risk metric model? Have you considered altering the model? Thanks. Now, I want to point something out. When you drop, so Bitcoin dropped from, give me a second here. I will measure again. When you drop, let's say go down here to where the wick was, 38% on Bitcoin. That's it's a lot, and it's a lot because of this. If you're down here and you want to recover back to where you were, it's not a 30%, 38% increase. We dropped 38%, but how much do you have to go up? You have to go up 62 freaking percent. That's huge. Just always remember that when you're looking at these charts. If you go down, 20% to get back to where you were, that's not a. You don't have to go up 20%. You have to go up a much higher percent. So to recover from that point, we have to go up 62.9%. So to me, this is why I'm saying, and this drop happened within 30 days. To me, I feel like it was a failure of the risk metric, and like I said, lately I'd been questioning like why am I a member of this channel? So I said, okay, let me engage with Ben on that. If he says, you know, yeah, it was, I'm going to tweak the model or whatever, then I thought that'd be a cool thing, and we could talk about it, and maybe he'd give his insight into that. But he replies, he says, this does not make any sense. How could we ever go to zero point 0.2 risk if we can't drop below zero point 0.5 risk? And he's basically saying he thinks I was saying oh, the price can't ever go down over a zero point 0.5. And that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying, sure, if the risk is zero point 0.5, of course it should be able to pull back a little bit, but not almost 40% within 30 days. That's my premise. I mean, fine, it can. And he's saying that's what his model's okay with that. And if his model's okay with that, then I'm going to say his model's worthless sometimes. So let's continue though. I respond to him. I say, we can. I say, okay, so we can drop below zero point 0.5, but is a 33% drop appropriate for a 0.55 risk? Again, I'm saying no, it's not. Maybe your answer is yes. I'd expect a 33% drop to come above zero point 0.6, not zero point 0.5. So what I'm saying there is, you know, if the market experiences this much of a drop. I think his risk metric should have been higher, like I mean at least 0.6. Honestly, I'm going to say something right now. If you're anybody who calculates risk metrics and tries to generate them, if you're at an here on November 11th, we were at an all-time high, almost $70,000, and if your risk metric says zero point 0.5 something, get the hell out of here, man. I mean, come on. I'm sorry. I should not be rude here, but look, if you're at an all-time high and you're in price discovery mode, it's like, dude, just have something hard coded in your model that says in your risk metric model that says, look, just by default you're at zero point 0.7 if you're in price discovery mode. I'm sorry. I mean, now, different story if you hit an all-time high and then you go sideways for like a few months. Yes, I completely agree. The risk metric should cool off. So maybe when you hit it and you're in price discovery mode, it should be zero point 0.7. But if you start moving sideways for like month after month after month, then the risk metric should be like start cooling down naturally because it's like, hey, we're showing we have support here, so there's less and less risk. You know, um, maybe it goes down to from 0.7 to 0.6.5 to 0.6 et cetera, et cetera. Just might drop down over time. But his didn't do that. It went up here, price discovery mode, all time high, still said zero point 0.5. So that's my point with this tweet. I think there was a lot of misunderstanding when other people read this. Anyways, I said, from the risk metric model, I'd expect that zero point 0.5 means price will likely go up between zero point 0.5 and 0.6, maybe sideways action, above zero point 0.6 starting to get risky. I probably should have explained this better. I don't know that this really reflects what I was trying to say, but what I basically just explained here is what I was really trying to convey. When I say here between zero point 0.5 and zero point 0.6, maybe sideways action. I don't mean literally going sideways. Of course you can go up, of course you can go down. Maybe a little bit range bound. I certainly don't think when you're between zero point 0.5 and zero point 0.6 you should be experiencing 40% drawbacks the way we did with the risk metric. So that's my point there. Now, very coincidentally, the he posted. This is a screenshot of his premium channel video from like the day before I posted these tweets. I didn't even know about this. I hadn't watched it yet, but he's looking at another risk metric. So he has his risk metric, and then there's other indicators like this MVRV Z score. And what he was saying was that this is a graph over many years. Earlier this year in 2020, or yeah, 2021. I guess we're 2022 now, so I should say last year. But in April, he was saying MVRV did not spike and show that that was an all-time high. So he was like talking crap about that. And then he said certainly it didn't later in the year. And he said, well, his risk metric did show that things were heated in the. As I said, I agree with him. His risk metric did work for the pump in April, but it did not. I think it did not work for the one in November. That's my view. And then, but he even in his video again, I can't share the video because it's premium. But he says his comment was, well, at least my risk metric hit zero point 0.5, but he said it with a weird tone as if he knows that that was not a good performance of his risk metric. So anyways, so I post let me see here. Actually, I didn't put this on. Wait, did I put this on Twitter? Yeah, I didn't put that on Twitter. That's just I have this in my notes here. So I say here on another tweet, let's compare with the performance of the risk metric back in April. Okay, and I already talked about this. Yeah, I'll skip that one. Let me see here. What else did I want to cover? Yeah, so I'm just repeating what I already explained in this tweet. So let's see, back in April, we experienced a 53% drop to the local low. And I'm saying 0.92, that was the risk metric at the time. That seems reasonable. Like that was a good warning, right? But for the current dip, I'm saying we're currently at a 33% drop, and his risk metric at the recent high was 0.55. So I'm just basically saying that does to me that doesn't make sense. Now, what I'm saying here, very important, is we could drop further. I mean, we could go to 41,000. That's going to be, now that's really going to be a 40% drop. And again, all his risk metric ever said was 0.55. So to me, that's not good. And here I point out that in his video, he's saying, the MVRV didn't do well. this year, I'm saying, well, I don't think the risk metric did well either. So I was, and about if you go through all these tweets, I think I'm very respectful. I'm very factual. It's just a purely technical discussion. Ben's an engineer, I believe. He has a PhD in some one of the sciences, and I thought he would appreciate discussion like this. But like within a couple of minutes, I've been blocked. So this is my point. If you try to engage with him like in a respectful, technical manner, he'll just block you, and it's kind of a shame. He also messaged me and says, "Hey, cancel your membership." He like I felt like I wasn't welcome there, and that was pretty much it. So that's the last thing I wanted to say. That was my experience in the cryptoverse. So after he blocked me, I just wanted to share my experience of this exchange and how he wanted me off of his list or invited me to get off of his list and all that. So I just posted my experience of cryptocurrency. I posted what I posted on Twitter, kind of the exchange, just the notes that I just showed you, and it went to the front page of cryptocurrency. It was 467 upvotes, 426 comments. I got a bunch of awards. Everybody was extremely supportive, except for a few that whatever they came to his defense or whatever. So yeah, this was quite a controversial post, and I just wanted to show this screenshot because it was eventually removed by the moderators. It stayed up for a few hours, and it was eventually removed. So yeah, it's partly why I wanted to make this video is to say, hey, like I don't think there's much information out there that talks about Ben's that reviews his premium list. I personally never saw anything like that. I wanted to before I signed up for it, I wanted to get a review like, hey, what does it look like? What does the information look like? And, so I just thought I'd make this video, just like I say, giving my impression of the whole thing. All right. So just to wrap it up, I think that's mostly all I wanted to say about, like I said, my experience with with Ben Cowen's premium channel. If you have any questions, like specifically, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I'll try to reply. Like if you want to know if he covers this or covers that. Just in summary, like I think he's a nice guy. I got a lot out of his analysis. I feel like for me, subscribing for a couple of months was worth it. I learned a lot, and then after a few months, I felt like it was repetitive. I wasn't no longer really getting much out of it. To the risk metric, again, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Um, initially I thought, you know what, maybe I'll cancel my subscription and then just when it looks like the market's heating up again, like re-enable it just to see what his risk metric dashboard says. Oh, that reminds me, there is something else I wanted to say about the risk metric dashboard. Again, I can't show you a screenshot, but he has the risk metric calculated for many different cryptocurrencies, like not just Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Avalanche, Solana, like I mean a whole bunch. It's like maybe 10 or 20, I forget how many there is. The problem is this. He doesn't just publish the risk metric, he also shows a confidence level because his model only, I believe, I don't want to put words in those mouths, but I believe his model only works well if it's got enough historical data. And so for a more recent coin, like maybe Solana is newer than Bitcoin, the confidence score is going to be lower than like let's say Bitcoin. So I believe last time I looked at it, and the confidence score goes up to 10. So I think the confidence score for like Bitcoin is like 9, and there's other ones that are like 1. So don't think that you're signing on and you're going to see like, oh yeah, this risk metric it works for all these different coins because it doesn't. And even he will tell you that. Even he will tell you, guys, like, you know, if the confidence level's low, obviously you need to have less confidence in the score. So really, the one that you can pay attention to is the risk metric or the risk metric for Bitcoin. He says he has a high confidence in, but like I said, the one that he has the highest confidence in, I think I've just shown that. Well, hey, look, I'm not gonna say it's broke. He claims it's not broken, but what we can say is this: if the risk metric says it's zero point 0.5 and you're at an all-time high, you can experience a 40% drop. So take that for what it is. Those are just the facts. I'm not saying it's broken. Apparently, he says it's not broken. Well, that's fine. So it's not broken, but that's the way it works. I mean, you can lose that much. Um, so that's the last thing I wanted to say was the you get a bunch of risk metrics, but they're not all the same confidence, of same value. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, like I said, I like overall. I like I said earlier in my the couple of months that I subscribed, I learned a lot from him. I was very new to his style of analyzing things, and like I said, I took a lot of notes. So if this sounds interesting to you, like yeah, maybe do a month, but if you feel like after a month or two, you're no longer watching his videos. His Telegram tweets aren't all that insightful. I'm getting more value out of other analysts. Let's just put it that way on the day-to-day analysis. So, there's that. I was, and moreover, I feel like a lot of these analysts who offer like a premium, experience, premium list or whatever, an OnlyFans kind of an experience or whatever. I kind of always assume that, oh, you're gonna get more, access to him. And honestly, he engages more with people on Twitter than he does people on Telegram. So that was kind of disappointing. I know there's other, you know, there's a lot of people who make fun of people like that will buy these premium subscriptions. And honestly, I don't mind. I kind of feel like, hey, if I get to support the person and learn something from them, that's totally fine. Um, I've seen other ones that are, not as expensive as this one, so I might check some of those out later. But anyways, yeah, that's all I want to say. Again, no hard feelings towards Ben. And again, I think his reaction yesterday, where he blocked me and all that. Oh, as a matter of fact, I will say in the comments, he actually confessed that he has COVID and he's really stressed out from the holidays, and so I think he reacted a little bit harshly. So yeah, I mean, I feel really. I hope he gets better. I didn't want to stress him out. I had no idea that he was going through that when I questioned his risk metric. But I don't think. I think what stressed him out was the post that I made to the cryptocurrency subreddit went to the front page. I was not expecting that. I thought maybe just whatever, discuss it with a few people and share my experience. He unblocked me on Twitter after the post exploded on Reddit. So it is what it is. But yeah. Again, I'm not not saying to not check it out. If some of this sounds like you wanna take a look at it, go ahead. Yeah, so I think that's all I had to say. Um, yeah, so good luck, protect your wealth, stay safe out there, guys. Hey Ben, if I don't think he's gonna listen to this, but if you are listening, hey man, good luck. I hope you get better, and good luck in your investments and in your business. And oh yeah, the other thing I want to say is if you like this kind of like review of like a premium kind of a list, if I ever subscribe to another one, like another premium channel, again, I'll try to do a review. It's kind of touchy because again, I can't show screenshots of their actual materials like on that appear on there because again, that's violating the terms of service. But at least I can give my impressions of it like I did here. So if I ever look at a different service, I'll and I get a distinct impression, and I'll try to upload it here for you guys. Okay, so thanks and have a good new year.